A Ukrainian drone just went down inside enemy territory. Just one drone, carrying about 15 kilos of explosives, wiping out $47 million worth of military chip production. Russia's top-tier air defense didn't even see it coming. So how are these drones slipping past what's supposed to be the best radar on the planet? And what does that say about where modern warfare is heading? Join us as we find out just how much damage Ukrainian drones caused in a Russian oil refinery. 630 kilometers inside Russia, something crazy just happened. A broken-up UJ-26 Beaver drone, patched together from 3 older drones, limped through the night. Half its tail was gone, flaps stuck, controls slow. 2 Russian missiles already tore through it, but it didn't fall. The drone's computer did the math. 40 seconds to hit, 40 meters off. Not good enough. It burned all its remaining thrust. 30 meters, 20, 10. Then it smashed through the roof of a semiconductor plant at about 73 meters per second. The explosion tore everything apart inside the building. Walls bent and collapsed. Machines melted or vaporized. Their electron beam system? Destroyed. Ion implantation equipment? Destroyed. Months of setup, millions of dollars in hardware, all gone in a single hit. Russia's main supply of chips for missiles and guidance systems stopped completely. Not slowed, not delayed. Dead stop. Ukraine spent around $400,000 to wipe out tens of millions in value. Within 6 hours, Moscow was in full panic mode. Air defense units were ripped from refineries, pulled away from city grids, leaving huge gaps. Those gaps let Ukrainian HIMARS rockets strike without real resistance, all of it caused by one battered drone. Just one small, low-cost machine managed to scramble the entire defense network. Systems meant to protect massive industrial sites and cities couldn't respond fast enough. Ukraine turned a tiny drone into a weapon that forced Russia to react everywhere at once, showing how precise, cheap attacks can have a huge strategic impact. What if the Ukrainian command already knew something bigger was in motion? What if this drone strike was just one small part of a much larger play that had been running under the radar the whole time? In June, one drone hit a Russian energy site. July came, and 2 more hits. Then August hit hard. 14 refineries got smashed that month. September added 8 more. This wasn't luck, it was a plan. Ukraine completely changed how the war was fought. They made it about cutting fuel, not just fighting on the front lines. The plan was simple but powerful. Stop Russia's fuel, slow the army, and freeze the war machine in place. Without fuel, tanks can't move, artillery can't fire, supply trucks can't reach the front. A top Ukrainian source put it bluntly: hit their gas, hit their diesel, make the front stall. From August onward, the campaign grew huge. Almost 60 strikes hit deep inside Russian territory. Drones flew over 2,000 kilometers through enemy airspace to hit refineries, storage tanks, and export hubs. They went past radar, air defenses, everything. Russia's numbers tell the story. Out of 38 main refineries, 21 were hit since January. That's more than half of their key fuel network in less than a year. The Saratov plant, which feeds fuel directly to the army, was hit repeatedly. Gazprom Neftekhim got 2 strikes, with smoke visible even from space. Volgograd suffered 6 attacks, one forcing a full-month shutdown. Ryazan, near Moscow, took 5 hits. Every strike reduced fuel, slowed military operations, and left Russia scrambling to keep its war running. Ukraine turned energy into a weapon. None of this was random. Each strike was timed, targeted, and precise. Ukraine's drones found the weak spots, hit them, and one by one Russia's lights went out. What do you think went through the minds of Russian commanders when they figured out their top-tier defense systems were firing $3 million missiles at nothing but bits of aluminum foil? At 4 in the morning at Novokubishevsk, something weird happened. 4 of the 12 incoming drones suddenly climbed to 500 meters, lighting up radar like they were shouting. The radar went crazy. Speed, size, signal, all looked like KH-101 cruise missiles. The commander had 2 seconds to react, but they weren't missiles. Those drones had dropped little corner reflectors, tiny aluminum triangles. They bounced radar straight back, making a small drone look huge, A 10-centimeter piece can look like 10 square meters. The computer thought they were cruise missiles. The crew followed protocol. 8 S-57E missiles fired in 12 seconds, chasing the fake targets at 300 meters per second. Then the impossible happened. The decoys spun, turned, and pulled 9 Gs. Real cruise missiles would break apart. 4 targets became 8, then 16, as more reflectors fell. $3 million in missiles chased foil worth pennies. Everyone stared at the sky. From behind, 8 UJ-22 drones flew in very low, just 50 meters above the ground. The radar couldn't swivel fast enough to track them. The cannons opened fire, spraying rounds, but the drones moved up and down, changing altitude constantly. The fire control system tried to predict their path, but it guessed wrong. Hit chance dropped from 83% to just 31%. One drone was destroyed 300 meters out, but 7 kept coming. 3 of those drones struck the refinery directly. The plan worked exactly as Ukraine wanted: force Russia to waste expensive missiles on cheap drones while hitting from a direction they couldn't defend. But what about the drones that didn't bother with decoys at all? A beaten-up UJ-26 Beaver drone was flying low toward Penza, about 630 kilometers from the border. A Russian Su-35 spotted it from 43 kilometers, locked on with radar, and fired 2 R-77 missiles. The Beaver had no defenses. Once launched, the missiles guided themselves at 4 times the speed of sound. When they got about 12 kilometers away, their tracking kicked in. They could follow targets pulling 12 Gs. The drone could only handle 6. But the Beaver did tricks missiles couldn't: barrel rolls, quick altitude changes, twisting fast enough to confuse the radar. The missiles couldn't keep up. One went off nearby, spraying tungsten shrapnel. The drone got ripped up, half its tail gone, controls jammed. Still, the engine ran. Near Penza, Russian jammers turned on. A Krasuka 4 killed all signals. GPS dead. Radios silent. Screens full of static. The flight computer switched to internal gyros. After an hour, it was off by nearly 200 meters, almost missing the target. The computer overheated at 95 degrees, shutting down extras to stay cool. Seconds before impact, the camera spotted a clue: 3 tanks casting shadows in a triangle. That pattern gave a new lock. The lead drone sent coordinates to the others using a fast signal trick, hopping 1,000 frequencies a second. The Russian jamming couldn't block all of it. Just one tiny window got through, enough for the other drones to adjust and hit their targets dead on. But even while Ukrainian drones kept knocking out Russian factories and ammo plants, something bigger was going on. By late September, Ukraine's strikes had knocked out about 21% of Russia's refineries. That's around 1.4 million barrels a day, like wiping several big refineries off the map. Oil product exports fell hard. September saw a 17% drop from August, down to 7.58 million tons. Fuel meant for the front and for government cash reserves wasn't getting anywhere, stuck in empty tanks or gone. The Saratov plant makes over 20 types of fuel, from jet fuel to diesel for tanks. It got hit repeatedly. Volgograd took 6 strikes this year. One in August shut it down for a month. A major Moscow area refinery pumping 340,000 barrels a day was hit 5 times in 9 months. No fuel means tanks don't move, artillery sits idle, supply lines choke. War grinds to a halt. Ukraine planned it carefully. They picked refineries that feed troops and weapons factories. Novokubishevsk, a Rosneft site making nearly 5 million tons a year, got damaged. Orenburg, a huge Gazprom complex, had to cut intake from Kazakhstan. Fires broke out and gas units were hit. One plant after another went dark. Big fires at Orenburg damaged processing lines. Moscow tried fixes. Deputy Prime Minister Novak banned some petrol exports until next year. Critics said it wouldn't help. Most exports stayed as crude, cheaper, but not usable for the military. The goal wasn't to destroy Russia instantly. It was to strangle logistics at the source. 10 refineries have gone offline fully or partially since August. On some days, national output dropped by a fifth. Ukraine spent a few $100,000 on drones and caused tens of millions in damage. Each hit made the next Russian move harder. But the army wasn't the only one feeling it. Running low on fuel, regular Russians were starting to feel it too. By late September, gas lines were stretching for miles all over Russia. Videos from the roads between Moscow and St. Petersburg showed people waiting for hours just to fill a few liters. Out in the east, some stations had shut down completely. In Crimea, the local Kremlin officials started rationing fuel, saying it was temporary. But everyone knew it was serious. In Siberia, independent station owners told reporters they'd basically given up. One guy in Novosibirsk said it felt like the chaos of the early 90s. No fuel, prices jumping, no way to stay open without losing money. Some garages closed completely, waiting for the crisis to pass. Gas prices went up 10% for drivers, but wholesale prices shot up almost 40% since January. Even the state media had to admit unscheduled refinery shutdowns were causing it, though people knew drone strikes were behind the chaos. Station owners in Siberia had a tough choice: buy at crazy prices and lose money, or shut down and hope things got better. Meanwhile, Western Russia, Moscow, and Krasnodar barely noticed. Life went on, fuel still flowing, people mostly unaware of the problems in the east. The army's fuel needs were eating into civilian supply. The system built on endless energy was breaking. Ukraine's drones changed the game. One upgraded Beaver drone cost less than $500,000, but caused tens of millions in damage to refineries and chip plants. Missiles worth millions were fooled by cheap foil decoys. Refineries offline, fuel lines frozen, people waiting for hours. This wasn't an old-style war anymore. It was brains over brute force, and Ukraine was changing the rules. So if one patched-up drone can cripple an entire fuel network, what happens when Ukraine builds hundreds more? Are we watching the birth of a new kind of warfare? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on global military events.